Housing is set to be debated again when Parliament sits come Monday. What can be considered affordable housing and why are home prices right now a concern? Well, for more, we have our reporter, Rebecca Mateo. Rebecca, tell us, why is Parliament headed for a debate on this topic?
Now, if you look at the housing market right now, we know that resale prices have been going up and they've been hitting record highs for several months over the past few years. We've seen also flats transacted for more than $1 million over the past couple of years. And that inevitably has an effect on BTO prices. So that has drove up prices for, say, flats in Ang Mo Kio and prime locations and mature estates. And with that, a series of cooling measures were triggered by the government, and the most recent one being last year in September, which is an attempt to really cool the resale market. And against this backdrop, non-constituency MP Leong Man Wai has posted on Facebook in December last year saying that BTO flats are costly because land costs have been included in the pricing. He suggests that not to include land costs so that Singaporeans need not pay for the more expensive market rates. And this sparked off a series of debate between Siman, who is the Senior Minister of State for National Development, over social media. And they went back and forth about several arguments. And Desmond Lee, who is the National Development Minister, has also made several clarifications in Parliament. And they say that the government cannot sell the land at a discount to HDB. And that's because the values needs to be recouped for the reserves to be used by the future generations. And both sides eventually decided to file separate motion, which we will see the debate in the next sitting on Monday.
A lot of the debate seems to revolve around this issue of land costs. Rebecca, tell us a couple of things that we should really be looking out for in this debate.
Right, Don, I think we can expect Mr. Leong and his Progress Singapore Party colleague Hazel Phua to share several policy recommendations. And he said that he will share ideas that do not take into account land costs when pricing HDB flats, and also it will not eat into Singapore's reserves. And Mr. Leong has said that he's not arguing for the use of historical pricing for land, which means that land sold at a much cheaper rate as in the past. And on the flip side, we can expect the government to repeat the point that land is a valuable asset and that sales of any land should reflect the current market values, and that all these proceeds will go back to Singapore's reserve. And the ministers are also likely to explain how BTO flats are priced, and which is based on affordability. Then again, it looks at factors like household incomes and the prices of resale flats nearby, and also the attributes of the flats being location as an example. And they are likely to stress the points that they have already made before, that is, land and construction costs are not part of the pricing of BTO flats. And another thing that is likely to come up for this will be on housing subsidies, which relates to affordability and also accessibility of getting a public housing or flat. And Mr. Leong earlier said in a Facebook post that he thinks that subsidies are insufficient, but the government has also come up and said that it is sufficient because it is adjusted based on incomes and moderated over the years, and also based on market prices of flats, which has been growing. And that is how they have also kept public housing affordable for the masses, and that prices of public flats have generally increased at a slower rate compared to private properties. And the government said that this is because public housing is still meant for the masses. It's for everyone to stay in, to start their family.
And Rebecca, it's important that people watch and understand this debate, isn't it?
Yeah, and for a bit of context, more than 80% of our Singaporeans live in public housing, and it is something that is part of our daily lives and so close to the hearts of many Singaporeans. And earlier on, I've mentioned about rising property prices across Singapore, and the Singapore property market is so resilient. And a bigger flat in mature estates like Ang Mo Kio and Bishan can still easily fetch more than $1 million. And private property homes are now being sold at more than $2,000 per square foot. And all this kind of limit the choices that people have when it comes to housing. So this means that there will always be demand for affordable public housing. And this is evident as we have seen through the many BTO launch exercises. We see very high application rates. Sometimes we see 11 people vying for one 4-room flat in a mature estate. And another point is also that home ownership is very important to Singaporeans. They don't only want a roof over their head. They see it as an asset, as an important one. And it's only fair, I think, that they will want to know more about what goes into pricing their flats and what they're exactly paying for, why they're paying for certain price points for a flat. And I think all this will be up and coming in the debate.
All right. Look forward to it. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for that. Rebecca Mateo, our reporter, speaking to us there.